Hey guys, we've got a couple of brand new chin mount styles that I want to talk to you about today. So we've just completed one for a couple of 509 helmets. This one's the Altitude 2.0. It's a nice enduro helmet. And then we've got their ADV model, which is the Delta R4. Both of these are pretty sweet helmets. But I want to talk to you today, not about the helmet so much, but the chin mounts that we make for them. So we make a line of GoPro and other action camera chin mounts that we custom design for every one of the helmets in our lineup. So we've got maybe 65 and counting. Depending on when you watch this video, there might be many more than that. And we design them really carefully to perfectly match the chin area of each respective helmet that we make them for. And you can see here, even amongst the same manufacturer. So this is their ADV helmet. And you can see kind of what the mount does here. Like we want to clear the vent in this particular case. We want to find like a nice flat surface to mount it to, etc. Here, like you don't have a vent that you operate, but you do have vents here on the side, right? That we had to keep clear. So we've designed around that, taking advantage of whatever surface area and features are on that particular helmet. So really carefully designed with every helmet in mind. We also make sure that they extend far enough off of the helmet to give you a really ideal tip back angle. So when you're running an action camera on a chin mount, we'll talk more about chin mounting in general in a second, but when you're running your action camera on a chin mount, you want to make sure that the angle of the camera fits the angle that you're looking. So a lot of people think like, oh, like it'll be straight up, right? Because the helmet's straight up and down. What you might not realize is that when you jump on the bike and you get in attack position, you're suddenly looking down a little bit like that. And so you've got to actually tip your camera back so that you're not just staring at the handlebars or down at your knees or 2 feet of trail in front of you, which makes terrible footage no one will watch. The trick actually to getting this right every time is you want to make the top of the camera level with the top eye port of the helmet. Because that's typically where you're going to be in attack position. Now, this is an adventure helmet, so you might be sitting down more of the time, riding an adventure bike. In that case, you might rotate the camera up just a little bit. You can play around with what's an ideal angle depending on sort of what your riding style looks like. But to make that easier to get consistent with, we've got little tick marks. I don't know if you can see, but little tick marks around this side. And that helps you figure out like, okay, my camera needs to be at tick mark 2 or tick mark 3 or whatever. And then you can really consistently put it in that same place every time you mount it up, and you don't have to recheck the angle every ride. So trying to take care of you depending on the different styles that you ride. But also make sure that we have plenty of tip back angle to play with. And that includes, so some people ask us like, can I run your chin mounts with the media mod or a case on? You can see that even with the Hero 10 in the media mod, you're still getting an appropriate tip back angle. This is still level with the eye port. You're still gonna get that ideal point of view footage. You're still you're getting airflow to the vent. So obviously the camera is in front of the vent, but these are clear. You're getting airflow to this. So even with like a big camera, like the Hero 9 and 10 are the biggest form factor that GoPro's put out yet. And even that bigger camera inside a case or the media mod's gonna work just fine. A lot of people ask us like, why chin mounting? So there's several good reasons to do chin mounting for action cameras. And this applies not just to GoPro, but really any action camera. So depending on what you're trying to shoot, most people who are putting a camera on their helmet somewhere are trying to get what we call point of view footage, meaning you want your viewers to kind of be on the bike with you as you ride. Now, to accomplish that using a GoPro, you want to make sure that the GoPro is centered to your perspective and moves with your head. If you do chin mounting, for example, which I know is the only option in like AMA sanctioned races sometimes, because for safety reasons or whatever, like safety regulations, all you get is like a fixed perspective straight through the handlebars out into the front of the bike. And I don't know, as a viewer, like if I'm cruising Instagram, that's not really ideal for me as a viewer. I'm probably gonna skip those videos a lot of times. Same thing with like side mounting the camera. So you put it over here or over here like this. When you watch that footage, it feels like you're like falling over or you're like one-eyed like a cyclops or whatever. So it's also not a great viewer experience. The other thing about most action cameras is that like GoPro, for example, uses a fisheye lens to give you that wide perspective. And so, you like that widescreen, everything's in view kind of feeling, which makes it really immersive to the world that you're riding in. The problem with it though is it reduces depth perception. And so when you mount the camera on top of the helmet, which is kind of the typical place that most people start out with putting their cameras, you're actually adding, I don't know, 8 to 12 inches, depending on how big the helmet is, of extra height from the obstacles that you're typically going to be filming. So let's say you're riding over some rocks, or you're doing a hill climb or whatever, even just riding trail features, single track or something, that extra, let's say, let's call it 8 inches, is actually gonna noticeably improve the depth perception that your camera is picking up by bringing the camera closer to the obstacles and reducing the fisheye effect that happens mostly at the edge. So bringing it down as low as you can get it but still keeping it on your head so you get the gimbal effect of your head and you get your point of view perspective as you look around at the different features that you're riding through. So chin mounting is really ideal. The other thing is putting it on top of your head exposes it to branches. And we've seen a lot of times, we used to run them that way back in the day ourselves. Branches will come through and just knock that right off your helmet. If it doesn't knock it off, it can tip it back and you're staring up at the sky and you might not even know it. So bringing it down onto your chin is really an ideal place to put it. Quick note about these mounts. So for those of you who might have bought some of our earlier mounts, we used to make them out of a more rigid plastic. We've switched to a rubberized material called TPU. So you can see they're like super flexible. Well, not super flexible, they are flexible. The point of doing that is that they're impact resistant. Actually, these are basically crash proof. Like I can do all sorts of things and these aren't gonna get hurt at all. We actually took them out and ran them over with the truck. We smashed them with a hammer, like really hit them with a sledgehammer. It's pretty funny. They don't break. Like the mount was perfectly usable after we smashed it with a giant sledgehammer. A few guys had put their face into the handlebars or gone over and gone into a rock or something and had snapped the forks or whatever on one of our earlier, more rigid mounts. This material is unbreakable. Now, in any case, we've got a warranty, so we have a full lifetime warranty on these mounts. If you have any issues, let us know. We're super easy to work with. Most likely, we're just gonna send you a new mount, take care of the problem. Doesn't happen that often, but I want you to be aware that that's an option that's out there for you, so buy with confidence. These mounts are also the rubberized material is also gonna help protect your camera. So let's say you've got your camera mounted up and you put your face in the bars with the camera on. Now, often that might just like break the lens of the camera or something, but because our mounts are a little bit flexible, this material can actually flex up and absorb some of the impact that your camera's just had, and it might save your camera. So can't guarantee that, but it's definitely something to keep in mind, and it's definitely gonna help you in some scenarios. So people ask us, can we mount the camera upside down? You absolutely can. It'll work just fine. There's no problem doing it. Most people started doing the upside down mounting thing because they're running mounts that, if you mount upright, are putting the camera like flat against the face of the helmet like that. And that's no good because, again, you get in attack position, your camera's now staring at the ground. So guys were like, oh, I need tip back angle. Realized they could flip it upside down and then extend it forward as far as they want and get whatever kind of angle they wanted from it. So it's perfectly fine to do it. But that's why that particular mounting approach evolved. And the problem that we've seen with it is that puts your camera down here, which means that as you're turning your head, it's catching on your water tube or your backpack straps or your neck brace or whatever. We've heard from a lot of guys who run the neck braces that having the camera stick down even a little bit, it's just not, it's a no-go, it's a deal breaker. And so you don't have to do that with ours. Ours will clear the neck brace because they're up here in front of the chin area, like that, and not sticking down to knock into stuff. You can also run other kinds of cameras. So another question we get periodically is, can I run my Insta360 or my Sony or my DJI or whatever? Yeah, you sure can. The only caveat is that a lot of those other cameras may not sort of by default have these GoPro style mounting forks. The Insta360, I think, comes with you can buy a case for it that'll get you these legs. Other cameras, I'm not so sure. Probably you can buy adapters of some kind. If you can get it to mount with legs like this, whether that's through a case or an adapter of some kind, then it's gonna fit onto our mount and you can run it no problem. Real quick note, in case you're wondering, these mounts attach with 3M tape to the helmet. So it's the same kind of stuff, actually the same model of material that GoPro uses to mount their little standard footy mount. It's not gonna damage your helmet. It's not like glued to your helmet. It's not gonna dissolve the helmet paint or anything like that. These mounts are removable. To remove them, you just like press up on them real firmly for a while and they'll fold away, and they'll typically come off without doing any damage to your helmet, which is really nice. So you can take them off if you get a new helmet or you wanna, I don't know, clean your helmet or whatever. They're not like removable in the sense that you can't like take them on and off a bunch unless you wanna buy a bunch of new tape for them, which we do sell, pre-die cut tape. So if you want to put it on a new helmet or whatever, we sell tape just for that purpose. Recommend you buy it when you check out if you know that's in the works for you, because that way you don't pay for shipping. Definitely like and subscribe. We have this really cool podcast that we put out. We've interviewed like Graham Jarvis and Cody Webb and a bunch of other really awesome dudes, both racers and professionals in the sport, photographers, suspension professionals. I think we're at like 10 episodes. We've been doing it about 8 months now, and it's a ton of fun. They're fun to listen to. They're fun to do. We encourage you to like and subscribe so you don't miss those. We drop about once a month. You'll also find the link to the shop down in the description down below, and that's where you can find these particular mounts and our whole lineup, as well as all the accessories that we sell, including we sell a 90-degree adapter. So you'll get a cool box like this. Inside the box, you're gonna get a mount. You can see like here again, this one's way different, right? You're gonna get really cool horsepower adding stickers. We include a screw for you. And we include alcohol pads so that you can clean the surface of the helmet so that the mount sticks really nicely to it. We also sell separately this 90-degree adapter, and this lets you rotate your camera around on its side like that. So you can shoot all 4K or 5K, whatever pixels, but you rotate them to capture the full vertical screen format of like a phone. When somebody's using Instagram or TikTok, they're watching it on their phone typically, and they have that tall format. GoPro actually will rotate the image. If you turn the camera before you start recording, GoPro will automatically rotate the image, and you'll now be shooting vertical, so natively vertical. And it makes it really easy to get content for TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, all that. You're feeding the algorithm the kind of content that it expects, which helps boost you in, in the rankings. So that's a good option. We've started doing that. You can check out our Instagram. We'll also put the link to that down in the description. All of our footage, well, 90% of the footage that's on there is shot with the chin mounts that we run. So we ride all the time when we run these chin mounts with our Hero 10s. And you can see all that footage and get a sense for what's possible and what it looks like down on the link to our Instagram subscription. And I encourage you to check out some of our other videos in this GoPro chin mount playlist, because we show you how to run like all day battery, how to connect the like the center radios to record in through the system, all sorts of different tips and tricks. I don't know if we're pro users, but we definitely use these a ton, and we've come across a few tips and tricks along the way that we share with you in videos just like this one. So like and subscribe, check out our Instagram, go to the shop, buy a mount. Yeah, I think that's everything. Thanks a ton, guys. We'll see you next time.